Okay, so welcome to Mamoli Lexington Part 4. I'm your host, Rich. This is my channel, Max Models. And, well, starting things a little differently than normal today because I'm filming this intro first. So, as I mentioned last time, these little marks from when I use the pins to secure things in place. I really hate them. I want them gone, but how? Because now I'm putting things over that first layer, it's all going to be visible. What do I do? Had a thought. Why not, hold them on a different way? I tried some super glue at first. Did not work. So now, I've got to think of my own custom fixture. That means I got to think of how exactly I want to hold this thing. As well as how I'm going to, put on all the bits and like where and all that. So, yeah, I guess what we need for this project is a pencil, piece of paper, some measuring tool, probably gonna need another one on top of that, and we're gonna need a little bit of that for fuel. Okay. Sanjava! Alright, so as you can see, I'm taking some measurements of this boat and we're, recording them all that using those calipers and get a general estimate of some of the figures. This guesstimate comes to bite me in the butt a bit in the future, as you'll see. That was just me unplugging the charging jack there. That was that click sound you heard. I'd like to thank 31 subscribers. Thank you for the new subscription. And going along with that, as you can see, now I'm in the that CAD program I mentioned using Onshape. It's basically a website that acts like a CAD program, so it's pretty cool. And here I am just designing outlines for various wood pieces that I'm going to put together. You'll also see in the next bit, I got myself a scroll saw to cut these out. Now, this would have gone a lot faster and quite possibly a lot more elegantly if I just went and ponied up and gotten a laser cutter. But those things are really expensive. But a scroll saw, or no, sorry, it's not a scroll. I think it's a hand scroll saw or whatever it is, or jigsaw, is actually quite cheap. And as you can see here, I'm in the assembly part of the Onshape program, so it does things a little differently. And yeah, you saw in that lower corner there's some hissy fit that my computer threw. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold and allergies at once, and it's not fun. Other not fun thing happened, but I'll discuss that at the end of the video. So here I am now, they're going on to making a set of drawings for this thing. Hemming and hawing, I guess, as I'm looking at these parts. And eventually I figure out what I'm trying to do, I change some sizes of things, and then I get these pieces all to the appropriate orientation regards to each other, everything else. Now the reason I'm doing these all in 1-to-1 scale and then putting them on a piece of paper is because I want to be able to use the pieces of paper I create for this as a template to put directly onto the plywood. And this technique works reasonably well, actually, as I'm about to discuss in the next time-lapse section. Alright, so that you are looking at is a 2 foot by 2 foot by 1/4 inch piece of plywood. That is my new scroll saw. Figured Craftsman had a good reputation. Hopefully, it'll do a good job for me. So I'm going to clamp that to that table, and I'm going to do some scroll sawing. But what am I going to cut out on? Templates! Alright. Next time you see this thing going, it'll be me cutting this up, probably. Alright. Oh, nope, I guess I show the process of securing it to the table. So, yep, I secure the thing down. I did this initially at night. I cut down the template to size, spray a lot of spray on adhesive, and then push the thing down, try to get it even without air bubbles. Look at the thing then to see just how bad is it. Then I get the scroll saw ready, or jigsaw, whatever the hand saw thingy. I don't know the exact names for these tools, I just know that they work. Alright, here's the normal speed section.
As I'm checking to make sure that's about in my view, give it a little further tweak. Perfect. Okay. I don't hear any screaming from the wife. Neighbors haven't thrown a flashbang in yet. I guess we're fine. Okay, here we go. More of this.
And more we do. So, here we go. I'm just using the scroll saw to cut things down. You'll see a jump in the clip, probably a change in shirts. It's still, you know, tail end of the corona thing, so, you know, no one's really wearing clothes right now. But, anyways. So, yep, just scroll sawing along. And yeah, I wish I had a better, you know, thing for the camera. So that's why I put it over there. And hey, well, you know, I did change the shirt. So yeah, that the wife came about a few moments later. The reason I didn't hear her scream is because the thing was too loud. But yeah, so I waited till the daytime to continue the cutting. And I'm just following those lines of the scroll saw, trying to get as close as possible while it's nicely holding on to everything. And then I end up kind of starting to abuse this little jigsaw thing. You know, going around, making some cuts. I end up cutting some other things sharp where I need to. And then just refining cuts. And I do, yeah, pretty much use that scroll saw and sometimes the drill bits to get the little kind of tabs and grooves that I had everything kind of line up with together. And I think I must have gotten slightly thicker plywood than I had originally designed for. So I designed for 1/4 inch thick. I thought what I grabbed was 1/4 inch thick. I think it was a little thicker. I could go measure it, but because, you know, I still got the thing in my shop somewhere, but meh, no need. Spoiler alert, didn't work. But hey, I learned a lot about how to use the scroll saw, so that's a win. Anyways, going on, refining the shape there. Getting it a bit more refined still with the help of those 2 clamps. Making everything fit. And you'll see a lot of little fitting if things in like that. I am not using this scroll saw in a safe manner, by the way. Probably a little late in this vid to be mentioning that. Should probably have one of those don't try this at home things. As I have said, if the guy on this side of the screen hacks himself to pieces, it's funny and you can laugh. If it happens on the other side of the screen, on your side of the screen, it's a tragedy. So, if you try any of this, be careful, know what you're doing, and just don't try this. Okay, enough of that safety-oriented rant. At least I'm wearing goggles this time. There we go, cut, lots of cutting. This is, what about a good, I'm going to say half the video is just me making this fixture. I said I'd make it, and I went ahead and I made it. So, there we go. So, other than that, I don't know. Not really much to talk about other than just I used that template, and then I used the template to cut out the shapes by putting it directly under the plywood. After cutting them out, doing some test fitting, finishing it off with the scroll saw as well. I also had to drill out a bunch of holes with the drill because I had a bunch of holes that I had made for... I'd originally intended for some fairly long screws, but what happened is the little arms that I made to separate this top board, if you will, from the model itself just weren't quite long enough. So... Also, thinking about it now, I think having metal on the wood would have its own set of issues. I haven't shown it up close to the camera. Now I got, because I tried to do have the pinless look on the second layer of planking. Didn't quite work though. So yeah, it's just left a bunch of oxidized areas. I'm gonna have to sand off or something. So here you can see me again cutting off some select bits of the of those cross pieces and then fitting everybody together. That select cutting was also to create those slots. Here I am adding some glue to all these things to try to have everything hold itself together. And then I just try to chest fit the boat itself, which is great. And then I go ahead and I end up saying, hey, I gotta, refine this design a little bit. So shouldn't have added the glue right away. And the glue didn't work anyways. I ended up having to add screws and everything anyway. But I kind of figured I'd have to do that somewhere to at least reinforce. So I got some brackets. Here I am adjusting something off screen. How long can we stare? There we go. So I must have been wiping down some of the pieces of wood before finally getting the there we go. Getting the I must have mixed up some of the footage. Oh well. So yeah, along with that that with drilling I mentioned, I must have skipped out on a bunch of the tedious bits of drilling, which is fine. Okay, so you see this arm I just added that is supposed to go over the boat. That's the thing I was talking about where I said the arms weren't quite long enough. So then I look at everything, see what I can do, and then I start adding the next layers of some of the planking, starting with that strake. And I end up having to use the pins after all, unfortunately. So I thought that the thing was not going to be useful, and then I found a use for it, but it was like a one-time, two-time thing, which I'll describe now. You know, I might stand corrected again. This fixture may have a use. Not the most ergonomic, but it keeps these pins from going back into my thumb, where they do not belong. They think they belong there, but they don't. Okay. Alright, So while that one's there, I think I take these four and fold them into something. Oh no, I have to add these somewhere first if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, I gotta like grab like instructions and all that stuff all over again. Please hold. And then I look at instructions and all that, and I figured, yeah, I'm done with that set of music, so I go ahead and have a more, I don't know, intense, I guess, music or something like that. Either way, going along, I look at the results of these pins holding in the thing, and I just continue my planking adventures from there. So here we are, finally starting to get to some of the more big things of this model, which would be the Canon holes, and I end up doing both sides of them in this video at least. So I used a piece of square tubing I had as a straight edge to cut out the template, and then I made some marks with pencil and marked the various boards accordingly. Not sure if I got the perfect size of all these. As you can see here, it's all marked in pencil. I guess I did use this thing a little bit just for some drill work and whatnot. I end up discarding it eventually just because it's not really all that useful to me. But, fixture, again, served as a good thing for learning how to work with wood, so. Anyways, here I am cutting out the first set of Canon holes in the first, in that first layer of planking, just so I'll have it there. And then I ended up adding the second layers of planking and cutting thereafter. But, yeah, using the saw to do my initial cuts. It didn't do too badly, but it could have gone better. So I ended up finding something that went a lot faster. Trying to keep them reasonably even size. That's what the caliper measurement was there for. Try to just keep everything sort of close. Look at it and then think about how I really want to do things, and then just keep doing it the same old way. I go through a bunch of them. I clean up edges with the scalpel. Excuse me. And just cutting until I get really bored of this and ask myself the big question. Can't I just use the Dremel somehow and escape, like, how much of this? And so that's what I end up doing eventually. Only after how long? Okay, so I have to glue something back together. Yeah, it's because a bit fell out. And I think a second thing falls out as well when I do this cutting. Just because of where various, those little support stanchions are. And all that. So there we go. Cutting out yet another Canon hole. And eventually I get the idea of let's use the Dremel. And it might be here. Maybe not. Let's see. Do I grow a brain here? Yes, I think I do. I use a scalpel to clean. And then I get my Dremel ready. First time is I use a drill and a bunch of little drill holes to make cutting with the scalpel easier, to try to make things faster that way. doesn't quite work out. As you can see, again, I have to re-glue a piece of the wall there back in position. Then more carefully drilling with the Dremel. And eventually what I find is that there's a little ball and like engraver piece. That's what I've used eventually for these to cut them out roughly. So there we go. Cut, cut, cut. This is probably still the drill though. Just essentially drill a bunch of holes out, following the outline, so that you've got kind of like a... It'll be jagged when you start, but then you can finish. Then I look and wonder just how do I want to do this thing up. And then eventually decide, okay, we're just going to do the other side's cannon holes now. So here's the next shear strike. And that also goes on with pins. And yep, pins and pins and pins. So, and sleepy music. Wonder how many of you guys listen to my stuff for sleeping purposes. Let me know. Because if you use me to sleep, I can make this sleepy. That's easy enough to do. I'll just drone on and on. But I'm trying to make it a little more exciting and peppy. And yeah, I'm never really very good at exciting and peppy. But I can try. Alright, so here we go. Adding on that, yep, there's that ball end bit. And just milling out the outlines of these cannon holes. And eventually I do that through this first layer of planking. And there's a time jump there because I had the niece in the shop, and YouTube's a bit funny with how, you know, kids appearing in the shot are just going to be taken. So, yeah, let's not. And there I go, I'm using a piece of sandpaper to try and square things off. Later I end up using a file. And then, yep, there we go, sanding along. Just sanding along everything. Trying to even out the shear strikes to make it a bit less apparent that they split and frayed on their initial, you know, application. Then I go ahead and apply a bunch of glue, and I think just to reinforce the wall there of that first planking. And after a second time, after that glue and it dries, eventually I'll start putting on the second layer of planking up the top area there. Looking at the various instructions to see what exact wood thing am I supposed to use. Thankfully, the dimensions look like they're unique, so that's helpful. So here we go. This first bit of the second layer of planking. And seems to me... Seems to me like the super glue must not have worked. So I was like, yeah, okay, we're gonna bend this. Never mind. As you can see, I'm just adding it all over. And the reason I'm putting it over these cannon holes is because I know I can drill through it later. Or I can cut through it later. Not drill through necessarily. Now you see some of these pins, how they're going through the shear strike instead of into the hull. Some of these have left streaks now that I'm going to have to get rid of. So if you're looking for recommendations, don't do that. Just deal with the pinholes. Deal with the pinholes, because... unless you're like got some really good super glue and you're able to get flexible and dry timbers, I'm not going to recommend you do the what I've done here. But hey, it's fun when I make the mistakes, and it's more annoying when you make it on your side of the screen, right? Okay. So there we go. Now I'm just adding. I think this is me if I'm not adding in the. Okay, so I guess I'm just waiting for things to dry, and now things will have dried, and then I'm going to end up adding the. Top piece there. Doing a bit of shaving things down. Again, some more sanding. Hey, the rock type music is back. Yep, adding the not sure what this top piece of wood is called, but I'm adding it in using the pins to make it go in place. And after adding those pins in, eventually that'll dry. And I think what I may have done first is, yep, looks like I'm doing this first. If I'm not cutting out the cannon holes, then what I'm really doing is I'm cutting out the cannon holes first. Okay. So I guess what I did is I cut out the cannon holes and everything in this piece and did the walls on the sides before I went and did the removal of these internal stanchions. So... that just made it, I did that to preserve strength. And eventually, though, you will see me remove those stanchions in this. So there we go, just getting rid of excess wood using the Dremel tool. Dremel tool has been indispensable in all this, by the way. And also the other thing I did was to get rid of some of these stanchions first using the Dremel. Not wanting to go into the outer layers of wood, but enough to sever the internal stanchion pieces. And as you can see, I'm just using this Dremel cutting wheel for touch-up. So there we go, getting that all even before I finally will be able to do the other sides of one of these with the wood, as far as I know. Doing a lot of work now with the file just to get everything all nice and even. Lots of file work done. So yeah, all right. So then filing it, you know, cutting, filing, cutting, trying to get these to look good, even and square. Not necessarily the most even in size, unfortunately, but they are pretty square looking, so I consider that a win. Excuse me. So there I go, looking again through the plans, making sure I'm remembering thicknesses correctly. I try laying a few pieces inside before realizing that I have to cut out this internal piece that's in the bow. That it's like a stanchion, so I do that towards the very end of this clip. But I end up going, okay, we're going to have to do the other side anyway. So I end up doing the second layer planking on this external piece as well. After looking things over and thinking about them. And then after I do that external bit, I again cut out the various Canon holes. And then start filing and sanding everything down once more. There we go. So, yep, there we go, going right along still. Sorry for that little pause, my screensaver on my computer kicked in. There we go, good. At least the screensaver on my phone didn't trip up my recorder. Alrighty. Yeah, this is a pretty long segment of me just talking. Now, imagine if it did cut out. I'd have to record that all over again. So here I go, again, making that mistake, not realizing it was a mistake, of going into the shear stake rather than just sucking it up and dealing with pin marks. You can even see it right there by the bow if you see it. There's like a mark from that. So I'm going to have to get rid of that with sandpaper. So the last bit of this clip is going to be me just cutting out and finishing off this side's Canon holes. And then we're going to get to the end of the video where I, amongst other things, explain why this is about a week late. My apologies, but it is actually for a very good reason, as you're about to see. Alright, well, I'm going to send you out then. Hope you had fun. Hi, so, I guess it's time to end this video, and it's been a week late. So, as you can see, I've done some Canon holes here, and I still got to do some internal planking, but hey, external planking is looking pretty good, although I'll have to do a bit of sanding to get rid of some less than pleasant bits. A little irritating. I tried to do it right one way, and it turns out wrong another. Oh well, hey. At least I'm learning. So anyways, I guess I owe y'all an explanation before the YouTube dance of why this video is so late. So, the good friend of mine that I'm making that boat for, he really needs to get a break. So, what happened is his wife is no longer with us. She was sick for a while and finally lost her fight, which is unfortunate that these things happen. So, it is not up to us to decide who leaves, rather for us to remember the lessons they taught and the friendship and good memories shared. So I'm going to do that while I'm editing this and try to carry on. But anyways, so I am Rich. This is my show, RMX Models. Hope you enjoyed, and if you do, feel free to like, share, subscribe. Hooray! And hopefully I will see you in a few weeks when I'm in a better mood.